The following is a live copyrighted presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for RadioLawTalk.com with your host, Frederick Penny, attorney at law. And now, RadioLawTalk.com.
Welcome back to Hour 2 of the most entertaining, exciting, and informative radio show on the earth, other than the alien shows from midnight to 3, which by far are more entertaining than the three of us combined. Hey, welcome Cal Hunter, Denise Dirks, Todd Cunin, and you know what? We've got a new call screener, Steve. Steven. Do I call you Steven or Steve? Steven. Oh, he likes Steve. He's one of those.
Well, he's wearing a tie, so he's a formal guy.
You know what? Here's the deal. Yeah. He's just graduated law school and passed the bar. And now we can really hammer on him because, you know, he kind of thinks he's all that right now. But you know what? He's the new call screener because Seth, who just recently passed the bar, is also a lawyer. And, you know, these young kids, you think of these young kids. He's back there. Look at him. He looks scared because I'm talking about him on national radio, and he didn't know I was going to do this.
Well, the big fear is that you're going to say, you know what, come on in here. Oh, my gosh, no.
Come on in here and put the headphones on with the mic. But, you know, more important than that, we've got a very, very special guest here. I'm going to have Denise Dirks introduce her because this is a friend of Denise Dirks, but we're going to talk about immigration law. We've had a long time. We've been waiting to talk about immigration law, but Mary's finally here, so why don't you introduce Mary?
Mary Waltermire. She is here. She is an immigration attorney and a long-time involved attorney with immigration issues. She started out with the International Rescue Committee, and she rose up the level, starting as a caseworker and ending with the deputy regional director. And then she went to law school, it looks like, and she worked for UC Davis School, and she ran the research assistant there, and then she also worked as a clerk for the Honorable Harry Pregerson. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then that was in the Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit.
Correct.
And then you have immigration law.
Oh, wait. Did I hear clapping? Oh, that's nice clap. Wait a minute, Cal.
I'm just welcoming a guest.
There's got to be something with the little kids to say to her. What do we have with the little kids? So look for that while we're talking to Mary.
Yeah, and she worked with the Immigration Law Clinic as a supervising attorney, and she was an associate with the law office of Michael Schoenberg.
Schoenlaber.
Thank you.
Come on.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
And now she is a partner in that firm and practicing immigration law. She's you serve different counties. You do a lot of different things for immigrant and for law. Correct?
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah. So the reason I'm interrupting is I'm excited to have you here because, first of all, Todd applied his deodorant, and you're sitting next to Todd.
Todd has kitties.
And he has kitties, too. So be prepared to talk about kitties and deodorant. But he's doing well, and he's got his foot in a cast.
I just want to point out my first time on the show when I was a guest, none of that. It was this guy Todd Cunin here. He does stuff. All right, start talking.
The criminal law.
He's a criminal lawyer.
Yeah. It took forever for them to say I practice criminal law. It was just he's a criminal lawyer. We'll let you decide what that means.
But on the good side of this, the first segment has now been taken up by the introduction, which is.
Oh, stop it!
That's
all right.
Well, the best part about Todd is he's an actor. So actually, Mary, you're sitting next to a famous person. His name is actually not Todd.
Oh, brother.
Here we go.
Cal, what's his real name?
Anthony something.
No.
No, what is it? Wait. No, Denise. Don't say. See if you can remember. Denise, you remember his real name?
Ashton.
No.
See, I'm not that famous.
No.
Marcroft. Is Marcroft.
No. Wait. Hold on. I want to call in at 855 Law Radio.
What is it?
Don't tell him. If you can remember Todd's stage name, because
come on.
Or if you want to tweet it, use Twitter using the hashtag Radio Law Talk and write down on Twitter, tweet out what you think my stage name is, and use the hashtag Radio Law Talk. We'll check Twitter and see if anybody's got it right.
I know. You know your mom's going to text it in or
Mark
email
Ashton.
It. Stop.
Okay,
That is,
I'm walking all over
and
it.
that
now.
is incorrect.
That is not right. I already know what it
Are you
is.
serious?
I know who it is now, but I'm not going to
Okay.
say. I'm
All
going to
right,
see if
we've got Mary all confused now. Let's
Stop. Now, I want to say something
I thought this was
important.
a legal talk show.
This is not an illegal talk show.
It's
This
an
is a
illegal
re-
talk
It's
show.
illegal.
Mary's ready to take her headset off and walk out. I thought I was coming to talk some law, but we're just here messing around. So anyway, but we were talking about Kavanaugh recently, the new Supreme Court nominee, and he came down in now he's a Supreme Court nominee from the appellate court in D.C. So in 2017, he joined an unsigned divided opinion which found that the Office of Refugee Resettlement could prevent unaccompanied minors in its custody from obtaining an abortion. So in other words, any refugees or illegal children that want an abortion, generally speaking, the Office of Refugee Resettlement can tell them you can or cannot have an abortion. And that was one of the cases he decided and talked about in 2017.
Yeah, what he specifically said is he wanted a sponsor to be appointed for the child before the child made the decision to have an abortion. So in other words, he did not think it was appropriate for that minor child to be making a decision while they're in custody and locked up, and that they needed to get a sponsor for that child, take him out of that environment, and let the child make that decision voluntarily and informed.
And it's so important also to note that this wasn't an idea that he had come up with. He was in support of the policy being applied by the agency, which said
Exactly.
that there has to be a sponsor, that they'll try to. There was a bunch of things that they had to go through, and the majority decision was basically no. The child is entitled to an abortion on demand, which was the way he put it. And his opposition was, I don't believe that when the child comes here, they're not a United States citizen. They're not entitled to an abortion on demand. And the one specific individual that he was talking about, the child, the home country that she was coming from did not allow abortion on demand. And so that was part of his thing. Well, she couldn't do this in the previous country she came from. Why are we allowing this here? The other problem that he had was a procedural problem. And we talked earlier about how he likes rules and likes to follow precedent and stuff. And his idea was that there was a 3-judge panel that heard this initially and sided with the agency.
Right.
And then that got appealed en banc, and his first part of his opinion was...
He's dissenting. He dissented.
His dissent was, why are we hearing this en banc? Because en banc appeals apply to a certain type of case, and he laid out why a appellate panel or appellate court would hear this en banc, and his belief was that the underlying decision didn't rise to that level. But that was there. So he objected to the procedure by which it made it to the full appellate court. And he also said that he did not think that the restrictions imposed by the agency were unduly burdensome to the child, because at the end of the day, if after being with the sponsor family, she still wanted an abortion, she still wanted to do that, she could get it. They weren't preventing it.
Right.
But just these are things that need to go through, because this is, in his opinion, the worst conditions where somebody has to make a life-altering decision.
That's
like
right.
that.
Yeah, when you're being imprisoned, it's totally.
Well, was she imprisoned at the time, or
She was
was she?
detained.
She was detained.
Detained in prison, a little bit different. But
Well, yes, no.
They call it a detention, but then when you look at it, the conditions, I could see from somebody in her perspective, being a 17-year-old person, thinking, how is this different from prison? I'm in a cage. I can't get out. I'm locked up. What?
Is it the same that Mary's sitting there detained between us? She can't get out between Todd, Denise, and I?
They've got you trapped in here, Mary. You see that, right?
You ever agree to meet somebody for drinks or coffee and stuff, and you get there, and you initially, when you first see them, you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And I'm supposed to be here for the next hour.
Yeah. And you know what?
I'm worried that Mary is thinking that right now. Oh my gosh, what have I agreed to do?
Yeah, I haven't talked one bit, and we're already at the break. I haven't said a word. They've introduced me. Well, we're going to come back and talk to Mary. We really are going to talk to her about some immigration things. We're going to be right back. I'm Fred Penny, your host of Radio Law Talk.
Stay tuned. There's more Radio Law Talk coming up on your favorite radio station and on RadioLawTalk.com.
All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk are for California legal services only. Business needs growth to survive, and Accelerate You is in the business of growing your business. Accelerate You gets it. They have sales professionals, real top talent teams. Accelerate You has venture capitalists, and Accelerate You has strategic partners who roll up their sleeves and help you grow your business. It's what they do. They help people in business just like you. In fact, last year, Accelerate You launched 30 successful go-to markets for startup companies. With success like that, you can see why Accelerate You is able to only work with a select group of companies, perhaps yours. If you want to increase revenue for your business, call 916-BETTER-0. That's 916-237-7370. 916-BETTER-0. Come on, grab the phone. Make the call. Accelerate You. 916-BETTER-0. Again, call 916-BETTER-0 for Accelerate You.
Jason Rossback here with Fred Penny, managing attorney from Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. Now, Fred, what type of cases are you dealing with now, and what sets you apart?
Jason, we help people with all types of personal injury cases. We're former insurance company trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
That's Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or give them a call, 1-800-616-4LAW. That's PENNEY lawyers.com.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials. So just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at PennyandAssociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
The cost of getting rid of garbage is high, and recycling products is lucrative. If you're a business or know of a business that needs an individual compactor or baler, call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. If you already have an industrial compactor, baler, or shredder and need service, don't forget to call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. Northwest Compacting, your full-service industrial compacting and baling company. Read more about them at northwestcompacting.com. What makes great jerky? Jerky that's moist, tender, and perfectly seasoned. And if you're looking for moist, tender, flavorful jerky, don't look anywhere else but River City Jerky Works. Only the finest ingredients and top-quality meats are used in the preparation of River City Jerky. Do yourself a favor and order your River City Jerky Works jerky by going to their website, rivercityjerkyworks.com. River City Jerky Works. One bite and you'll be hooked. Quite possibly the best jerky on the planet.
I'm going to Quick Quack Car Wash. Get my car washed, make it quick, quack, pretty, shiny, sexy, just because I want to. Don't drive dirty. Going to get my car suds in the Quick Quack Car Wash. It's the Quick Quack, quickest and the cleanest by far. We're talking 3 skinny minutes sitting right in your car wash. 100 feet of cloth, washing your car at the Quick Quack Car Wash. Any Honda, Mazda, Ford, or Chevy, Saab, or Cadillac, Quick Quack will spruce her up just like that. You'll be happy, looking snappy, you'll be glad you was asked for Quick Quack Car Wash. Get on the web and go to don'tdrivedirty.com and see where you got your closest Quick Quack in the local area. Get in your car, get in your truck, get on the road, come visit the duck at the
Quick Quack Car Wash, where your car will always leave happy, guaranteed. They take pride in being clean and green by conserving and recycling the water they use, only at the
Quick Quack Car Wash. Quick Quack.
All around the world. This is RadioLawTalk.com.
Can I talk? Oh, I want to listen to the music, Cal. I don't want to talk. Let's just listen. That's groovy. You could tell Cal grew up in the 60s. That's it. That's the 70s music, actually. Hey, you know what? We're here with Mary Waltermire, an immigration lawyer. If you want to call in and ask her a question, 855-LAW-RADIO. Look, we've got her here one time and one time only. If you want to call in, you got an immigration question. Hey, we don't care what side you're going to ask, left, right, middle. We just want you to make sure that you're polite, and we are courteous to all sides.
Wait,
but,
polite and courteous? I'm out.
All right, you're out. Well, Rodriguez isn't here.
Yeah, Rodriguez isn't here.
So what is it you want to... Denise, roll with this. There's some couple of issues going on right now with immigration. Just one or two minor issues.
No. We're here today to talk about legal and illegal immigration. We want to kind of go through both of those type of topics. And right now, the hot topic is separation of families at the border. And the separation is not just limited to those crossing illegally, i.e. they're not coming through the port of entry. They're actually crossing outside of the ports of entry. They're being separated at the border. And then also the separation of people that are, from their children that are seeking asylum. And there's a really important settlement that occurred that kind of structured how long families could be separated, how long they should be reintroduced to each other, all of that. And that's called the Flores case. And Mary, you want to talk about the Flores case, right?
Yeah. The Flores case started way back in 1985 in the Reagan administration, and it's top of the news now.
Wow.
So, yeah, litigation can take forever.
Yeah, that's as old as Todd, baby.
But this what's interesting about this is it actually was a settlement that ended up becoming codified into the law. Is that correct?
Well, partially correct. The settlement agreement was in 1997. It governed the standards under which children could or could not be kept in detention by the government for immigration matters. And they were supposed to enact regulations so they wouldn't need the settlement agreement anymore. That was 97. Well, no regulations have ever come out.
Well, that's unfortunate because now it's all interpretation of this settlement that's saying that the children cannot be removed for more than 20 days from their parents. Isn't that kind of the gist of the settlement?
Well, the settlement agreement actually does not address the separation of children and parents. It only addresses the rights of a minor and how a minor can or cannot be detained, the conditions under which they can be detained, and then when they should be released. The issue of the parents is not part of that agreement, and I'm expecting, I'm not sure what's going to happen because the government has a right to detain some of the adults coming in.
So it's about basically the children is what they're focused on, this settlement, not the parents. They don't really focus on the parents.
That's correct.
Okay.
There's nothing about parents in the Flores settlement agreement. Now, there's another lawsuit. There are a few others, but there's one major one down in San Diego. And that lawsuit said that there was a violation of the due process clause in the manner in which they separated the children from their parents. It was against the will of the parents and the children. That's the lawsuit it's I think Ms. L v. Ice. That's the one that's really been in the media recently because that's the one that is dictating the reunification of children with their parents, the ones who came across together.
Now, here's a question I have. And Mary, you can always say, I don't know, but I know what people have said, and I've heard it. And again, here at Radio Law Talk, we're politically neutral, but we're saying what both sides are talking about. And one side says, okay, I'm as a devil's advocate, how does the due process clause apply to a person that's not an actual citizen of the United States?
Well, the due process clause applies to anyone in the United States, whether they're a citizen or not a citizen.
Okay. That's the argument.
And the due process clause is in the Fourth Amendment or is in the Fifth Amendment?
It's in that thing that they wrote up back in the 1700s.
Oh,
what is that thing called, Todd?
Oh no, that thing that on July 3rd.
I thought it was July 7th.
Thomas Jefferson said, "Oh, that's due tomorrow." But now, one thing about the due process clause here, just from the
in the Fifth Amendment, by the way.
from the criminal law standpoint, if somebody is in the country illegally, and let's say they get pulled over for a DUI, they are still entitled to all of the due process norms that we have to prosecute them for that DUI. They're entitled to try to suppress evidence. They're entitled to confront their witnesses. Their status as a legal individual doesn't come up at the local level before the courts in the Superior Court. In fact, the only time their immigration status really comes up, or their legal status comes up, is at the very end. If they go to plead, they have to sign saying that they have discussed with their attorney all of the possible deportation and immigration consequences if they choose to enter a plea. Very rarely, if ever, in 10 years as a DA, and I've prosecuted several people that were here illegally, did we run into a situation where ICE would come in and remove somebody and just deport them prior to the conclusion of criminal proceedings. And so their attorney was able to argue all of the due process stuff. We as DAs could never say, well, they're not here legally. They're not entitled to that.
Well, unfortunately, in this case that Mary was talking about, the mother in that case wasn't able to get an attorney to even start to protect her due process rights for at least 30 days, or it could have been longer, like 3 months. And so she didn't have any help at all trying to get back her children, let alone trying to fight the detention itself. Isn't that true, Mary?
It's my understanding that's true.
Yeah. And so when they took her child away, the child was taken away and put into another state. And they had very limited contact, and they did not get to, they got to speak to each other maybe 6 times in this time frame, but they didn't get to FaceTime or see each other or even have that much contact. And I think the child in this case, how old was the child?
Oh, I think the child was about 7.
7, that sounds right.
So young.
Very young, and this is, just... the mother in this case, she was from Africa.
She was from Democratic Republic of Congo, formerly known as Zaire.
So we're going to come back and talk more about this not nearly as important topic as what Todd's stage name is. Give us a call at 855-LAW-RADIO or tweet us at Radio Law Talk. We'll be right back.
This is Radio Law Talk on RadioLawTalk.com and on your favorite radio station. All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk are for California legal services only.
This is Denise Dirks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
Jason Ross back here with Fred Penny, managing attorney from Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. Now, Fred, what type of cases are you dealing with now, and what sets you apart?
Jason, we help people with all types of personal injury cases. We're former insurance company trial lawyers. We understand the other side, which gives us a distinct advantage over our competition. Remember, we don't get paid unless we win.
That's Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennylawyers.com or give them a call, 1-800-618-4LAW. That's PENNEY lawyers.com.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials, so just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at PennyandAssociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
Many women have so many clothes in the closet, but then we go to get dressed and find we have nothing to wear. We've all been there. We all want to be comfortable and fashionable at the same time, and it's difficult to find clothing that makes that task effortless. But at Letty & Company, you can find trendy, comfortable clothing that is affordable, things you'll want to wear every day. Shop with a purpose, online with free shipping. Just go to LETTYandcompany.com. LettyandCompany.com.
Business needs growth to survive, and Accelerate You is in the business of growing your business. Accelerate You gets it. They have sales professionals, real top talent teams. Accelerate You has venture capitalists, and Accelerate You has strategic partners who roll up their sleeves and help you grow your business. It's what they do. They help people in business just like you. In fact, last year, Accelerate You launched 30 successful go-to markets for startup companies. With success like that, you can see why Accelerate You is able to only work with a select group of companies, perhaps yours. If you want to increase revenue for your business, call 916-BETTER-0. That's 916-237-7370. 916-BETTER-0. Come on, grab the phone. Make the call. Accelerate You. 916-BETTER-0. Again, call 916-BETTER-0 for Accelerate You.
What makes great jerky? Jerky that's moist, tender, and perfectly seasoned. And if you're looking for moist, tender, flavorful jerky, don't look anywhere else but River City Jerky Works. Only the finest ingredients and top quality meats are used in the preparation of River City Jerky. Do yourself a favor and order your River City Jerky Works jerky by going to their website, rivercityjerkyworks.com. River City Jerky Works. One bite and you'll be hooked. Quite possibly the best jerky on the planet.
I've got to get my car washed. This dirt, it just won't do. But I don't have no time today. I don't know what I do.
Man, I know this place right down the road. Quick Quack Car Wash. Hop inside, let's take a ride and watch this cat and shine. Just come and see, I guarantee your ride will steal the show. Come on, Quick Quack Car Wash. Don't drive that dirty car. Quick Quack Car Wash. They'll have you looking sharp.
I knew I had a problem, but I didn't know what to do about it.
I tried counting calories, I took pills, eating, and then more eating.
I really wanted to stop, but nothing could make me stop.
At one point, it was so bad that I just felt like giving up.
I felt so alone.
Like nobody else could possibly understand.
We understand. We're Overeaters Anonymous, and we have helped thousands of people just like you. People who want to stop their compulsive eating and start living a healthy, rewarding life.
Overeaters Anonymous, help me get my life back.
Now I eat in a way that's healthy and good for me.
I never realized what I was missing out on.
With OA, I am living again and loving it.
Start living the life you deserve with help from Overeaters Anonymous. Find us on the web at oa.org.
Go to the website, radiolawtalk.com. You can listen to the show there, and there's a lot of other good information, too. That's radiolawtalk.com.
We're back with immigration lawyer Mary Waltermire, and also back trying to figure out Todd's stage name. Remember, we've got a disclaimer that we've got to say. The most important thing about our disclaimer is to go read it. It's only, 3, 4, 5 hours long. And when you have some time, put your feet up, go back to www.radiolawtalk.com, read the disclaimer, and then put this music on. But remember, we're only talking about general topics of law. Go seek your own attorney, and do not say, Fred Penny, Your Honor, told me on Radio Law Talk, August 3rd, 19, blah, 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 or 2000, whatever. I think, and just don't do that. But if you're in front of your professor, you can absolutely do that. Professor Jones, you're wrong. On that case, Denise Dirks advised us on Radio Law Talk as follows. That's okay, but don't do it with the court. All right? So back to talking about immigration. You got an immigration question, call us at 855, let's say Law Radio, right?
Yes.
Or tweet us at Radio Law Talk, and then you can talk to Mary about immigration. This is about the only time you're going to be able to hear from her, because once she comes on, she will never come back. I guarantee you. It's like, what did I go on that show for? So let's talk a little more about immigration, because later we're going to talk about legal immigration too.
We were talking before we went to the break about due process for individuals, for people coming across the border, whether they're legal or illegal, and due process during the detention process. And it brought to mind a case that we covered here on Radio Law Talk about the guy that was down in Tonga that was being charged, and in his case he was being charged he was indicted for the murder of his spouse, and he was apprehended in Hawaii, but the State Department refused to extradite him in Tonga because the concerns that the State Department had were over the due process protections he would have received had he gone back to Tonga, because in Tonga he was not entitled to, under the law, an attorney to represent him if he could not afford one for himself, nor was he entitled to a translator so that he could even understand the proceedings that were going on. And the United States State Department said, you know what? because of the protections we have in the United States, and because he's a U.S. citizen, we can't, in good conscience, allow him to be extradited because he would be deprived of those things. And yet it seems like here, when the shoe is on the other foot of somebody coming across the border to come in here, the public perception, I don't know if this is actually correct, but the public perception is that those folks aren't afforded the same considerations for purposes of due process, whether they're entitled to counsel in the detention facility or whatnot. Is that perception correct, or are there those due process protections in place for those people?
Well, due process is there, but what kind of gets mixed up in all of this, someone who crosses the border illegally, they don't go through a port of entry, they could be charged both civilly and criminally. So, if you're charged criminally, it's a misdemeanor to cross the border without inspection unless you have past deportation.
And it's a $10 fine as well. It's like a very small fine, right?
Oh, I didn't know about the fine. Mm-hmm. Okay. So...
Well, that'll set you back, you know.
Might set Utah back. That's
it does.
How,
I mean, look.
How much kitty litter is that?
Wait.
No, that's a meal at McDonald's.
But you didn't finish their sentence,
yes.
And I interrupted, and I apologize.
That's okay. You get the whole set of protections if you're being prosecuted criminally, including the right to an attorney, and if you can't afford one, one will be appointed for you. When you get into the civil system, the rules are very, very different. You are entitled to an attorney if you're in immigration court, except you have to pay for the attorney. The government will not pay for the attorney for you.
So if you're in immigration court, that would be that you're there to seek asylum. What other types of cases would be in the immigration court?
In the immigration court, there are deportation cases. It's called removal now, but it's deportation. And it could be someone at the border. It could be someone in the interior of the United States who may be a permanent resident and they've committed a crime, which under the laws may make them deportable. There's a whole spectrum of things.
So, Mary, let's step back. You said in the immigration courts that they have to pay for their own attorney. How do they pay for that? They're coming across the border. They have no money. How do they pay for? Okay, and so let's say they can't pay for them. What are they going to do? What do they do to them? Throw them on the street? Take them? What do they do? Or I don't get that.
Well, you have to do the case yourself.
Oh, I see. So you're improper, like by your.
Are they
correct?
Are they provided translators so they can actually speak to the judge?
They are provided translators.
And aren't they interviewed too by some kind of an investigator to try to find out the grounds they're seeking asylum under, for example?
The first step is to schedule you for what's called a credible fear interview. And it's the asylum officers that do that. The asylum office is a branch under Department of Homeland Security, Citizenship and Immigration Services. And those folks go down to the border to do the credible fear interview.
And Attorney General Sessions just came out and said we want to change the policy a little bit here. And we want to say that if you can't get away from gangs in your home country, that is not necessarily a reason for asylum. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's not a reasonable fear. He's changed domestic violence, correct? That's not a reasonable fear. He's changed if gang activity is in your country, and that would not be considered a reasonable fear. There's one more thing, but I can't remember.
Well, the Attorney General has issued a decision that does change some of that. When you don't get asylum just because you're afraid to go home, someone's going to hurt you. You have to show that there's a reason that you're in fear of being harmed. It has to be race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, that's the complicated one, or political opinion. So, over many years of litigation, the immigration courts decided that certain folks who'd suffered severe domestic violence, that could qualify as a social group. That's the big thing that Sessions' opinion did, is to say, no, that we don't think that fits under asylum law, and we're going to restrict that. You've got to define your social group, and you can't do it based on the harm you suffered. The gang-related cases have always been very difficult. The domestic violence cases, there was case law that made them more possible to be granted asylum. So, yes, there are changes, but It's always been difficult. Asylum cases are hard.
But of the cases you've handled, what's the most common reason when someone comes and says, I have fear? I mean, what is the most common one? I'm kind of curious what...
I'm not down at the border. So
okay.
The cases that are in the news right now, I don't see very much. The cases that have the best likelihood of winning, there's something political in there. It's political opinion. You oppose the government. You are an activist in an opposition group. Those cases under the laws are the most straightforward and the easiest to be granted. I think people can understand and relate to political opinion in a way that maybe they can't relate to some other things.
Like religious opinion, in the case with Miss L, for example, in the Congo, they left Congo because she believed that they were going to be killed. I mean, it was dire straits where she was living.
And I'm not familiar with the particular facts of that case because asylum cases are confidential. I am familiar with the Democratic Republic of Congo, and oh my goodness, the things that happen there, it's
atrocious.
Yeah.
First, she was a Catholic citizen, fleeing persecution. That's what she claimed because of her religious belief, because she was definitely a minority class in the religious sector. But also, wasn't there women were mutilated in ways that were not normal? Things were happening in Congo that were different as well, or at least in some African countries that was happening. So a lot of the African women were trying to escape this genital mutilation. I remember that being a big trend,
yes,
if you will.
And as far as I know, that has not changed. Female genital mutilation can still be grounds for asylum. It's not black and white. Every case is going to be a little bit different, but that's still there.
Okay.
So they have there's specific individuals within the government that decide that. Is that correct, Mary? There's like a department. Is it the judges?
Judges. But
you said there's a preliminary person they talk to before they even get there. Is that correct?
There are two separate tracks for an asylum case. For someone that is not in deportation proceedings, they were not apprehended at the border, you can step forward and apply for asylum with the asylum office. That's very different than the immigration courts.
Got it.
But the asylum officers are also the ones that are doing these credible fear screenings down at the border. They're not granting asylum, but if you pass a credible fear, then you get to go before an immigration judge and present your case.
Good. We're with Mary Waltermire talking about immigration law. We'll be right back and maybe find out what Todd's real name is. We'll be right back.
All advertising for legal services on Radio Law Talk are for California legal services only. Business needs growth to survive, and Accelerate You is in the business of growing your business. Accelerate You gets it. They have sales professionals, real top talent teams. Accelerate You has venture capitalists, and Accelerate You has strategic partners who roll up their sleeves and help you grow your business. It's what they do. They help people in business just like you. In fact, last year, Accelerate You launched 30 successful go-to markets for startup companies. With success like that, you can see why Accelerate You is able to only work with a select group of companies, perhaps yours. If you want to increase revenue for your business, call 916-BETTER-0. That's 916-237-7370. 916-BETTER-0. Come on, grab the phone. Make the call. Accelerate You. 916-BETTER-0. Again, call 916-BETTER-0 for Accelerate You.
Hi, I'm Frederick Penny of Penny & Associates Injury Lawyers. I bet you're tired of hearing lawyer commercials. So just relax and listen to music for a few seconds. When you or a family member has been injured, call 800-616-4LAW or see us at pennyandassociates.com. See, that wasn't so bad.
This is Denise Dirks. We can represent clients in divorce, legal separation, child and spousal support, custody, termination of parental rights, step-parent adoptions, guardianships, and even conservatorship matters. Call 1-877-886-7186 for a consultation.
The law offices of Denise L. Dirks provide family law services in Northern California. When the law affects your family, call 877-886-7186. The family of attorneys at Denise L. Dirks is here to help.
All right, guys, we need to have you read some lines for our disclaimer promo, but first, can anybody tell me what a disclaimer is? All right, then. Well, Denise, you go ahead.
Non uti concilius me oriere proquestis purpurium juris consult.
Latin, that's a nice touch. Thank you, Denise. Next time we'll try it in English, if that's okay. Fred, how about you?
Cal, I don't want to read all this. Can't we just tell the people that we're discussing general legal issues and they should hire their own attorney instead of relying on what we have to say here?
Well, we could, I guess. Chris?
I'm not going to be there anyway. Why have me do it?
Let's have Todd do it.
Me? Read disclaimers? Why, I couldn't. The information you hear on Radio Law Talk is general.
The preceding promo was for entertainment purposes only. And if you want true legal advice, contact your own lawyer. Just a tip from your friends at Radio Law Talk.
Be sure to read our disclaimers on radiolawtalk.com as well.
The cost of getting rid of garbage is high, and recycling products is lucrative. If you're a business or know of a business that needs an individual compactor or baler, call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. If you already have an industrial compactor, baler, or shredder and need service, don't forget to call Northwest Compacting at 888-201-0911. Northwest Compacting, your full-service industrial compacting and baling company. Read more about them at northwestcompacting.com. What makes great jerky? Jerky that's moist, tender, and perfectly seasoned. And if you're looking for moist, tender, flavorful jerky, don't look anywhere else but River City Jerky Works. Only the finest ingredients and top-quality meats are used in the preparation of River City Jerky. Do yourself a favor and order your River City Jerky Works jerky by going to their website, rivercityjerkyworks.com. River City Jerky Works. One bite and you'll be hooked. Quite possibly the best jerky on the planet. The attorneys you hear on the panel at radiolawtalk.com are all licensed to practice law in California. But if you want a lawyer, no matter where you're listening, you can check our website, radiolawtalk.com. There's a button there that says Talk to a Lawyer. Press it. It's that easy. And of course, we thank you for listening to Radio Law Talk.
We're back with Mary Waltermire, immigration attorney here at Radio Law Talk. We're talking about immigration law, a hot topic. A lot of you don't know that my wife is an American citizen, but her parents were from Canada. In fact, they're from Alberta area. And my father-in-law was an engineer, and he came out to the United States to start miniature golf. He did miniature golf courses. And the interesting thing is, he became a citizen. My mother-in-law never became a citizen. She had a green card her whole life. Now, she's still alive. She's 95. Unfortunately, my father-in-law passed away in the 90s. And she literally finally got her citizenship she was about mid-80s, and she had been in the United States almost her whole life. And she's had a green card that long. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
How
That's
that
amazing.
works? That's bizarre.
I get so excited when older folks decide to do it and go for it.
And that's great. But she's been on a green card her whole life. But her husband was a citizen. So I didn't even know about that.
So do you know how he came here legally? Was it through being a special class that could come in, or?
Yeah. He came through. He went to Georgia Tech. He came through as a student, and he got a master's degree from Georgia Tech. He was an engineer. And then somehow, and I don't know the details after that, through that process.
It sounds like an employment-based visa.
Yes, and that's how he eventually became a citizen. But my mother-in-law is like, hey, and they went back, they traveled back and forth a lot, and that's why. So she kept her green card, and then he stayed the citizen of the United States.
How long does it usually take to go from when someone says, okay, I want to do this? How long does it take them? It seems like it's an expensive process.
Oh, the classic answer, it depends.
You have listened to the show.
it depends on the avenue that may or may not be available for you to get a green card, whether it's employment, whether it's through a family member or something like asylum. For certain people, the green card itself can be a relatively quick process. For other people, it can take 30 years.
Yes.
And for many people, there is no pathway.
That's true. And what's interesting is the green card, the beloved green card that everybody is so hot to get, sometimes can have negative results. For example, if you have a child that's born of a diplomat, so a foreign diplomat's in our country, and they have a child that's born, that child is not automatically a U.S. citizen, but they can apply for the green card. And if they get their green card, the diplomatic immunity no longer attaches to them.
My wife is not a citizen, maybe. Oh, my gosh. I'm going to have a chit-chat with her today and find out what's going on.
So I got a question then. So we talk about, there's sometimes you see these athletes that are able to compete for another country because their dad was in the military and he was born in Italy, so that even though the kid was raised in the United States, because he was born in Italy, he has dual citizenship. So my question is, hypothetically speaking, here's the hypothetical. Love these from law school. Let's say a person is sitting at the U.S. consulate in Italy. Now, we know that the consulates, they always say, this is U.S. soil, even though it's in the middle of Italy. And for some reason, the individual is at the U.S. consulate and goes into emergency childbirth and has the child at the consulate on technical U.S. soil at the consulate. Would that child be entitled to dual citizenship in Italy and the United States?
Oh, not based on having been born in the consulate. It's my understanding this idea of a consulate or an embassy being U.S. soil.
Yes.
It's not, in the sense that just because you happen to be born there, that doesn't give you citizenship.
That's not just soli. Just soli means of the earth or of the soil,
but
right?
Wait a minute.
And that would have to be.
But when I watch
country.
TV like Homeland and stuff, and somebody's running to the consulate, let me in, and they get in, and it closes, and the guy's Marine's sitting there, back up, sir. This is U.S. soil, as if we were in America. Are you telling me that television could be wrong?
Oh, I would never, ever say that.
I'm shocked. I am beside. I'm almost inconsolable right now.
Will you feel better if you go watch some TV?
I just might have to, either that or I need a lollipop.
But in the U.S., we grant embassies statuses of them being on their own soil, do we not?
I'm not an expert
Generally?
on the topic, but an embassy or a consulate is protected from certain things. So I'm not sure that law enforcement could go in.
That's right. It's
to an
sovereign
embassy
immunity is what we're talking about.
Right.
Right.
And sovereign immunity actually attaches around the diplomat to a certain extent, like a little circle, because that person, while they're out there doing their duties, has sovereign immunity as well. So not only the consulates have sovereign immunity, but also the diplomats themselves do. And they can commit a crime and not be arrested. And yes, there is a TV show that would help you to understand that, Todd, and that would be the Special Victims Unit show. Because there exactly was that issue.
I missed that episode.
Is there a kiddie show that's about immigration?
I don't know. I think Garfield is
Canadian, right?
You were talking about what was it? Employment categories for coming into the United States, and they ranked in the E1 category and E2 category. I was looking at this here for visas, and I wanted to point out something that might be an ego killer for us here on Radio Law Talk, because the employment second preference, the E2 category, is titled Professionals Holding Advanced Degrees and persons of exceptional ability. And I think the way that is phrased is intentional to remind that professionals that just because you hold an advanced degree does not mean you are automatically a person of exceptional ability. There are people of exceptional ability. That would have to be something proved outside of just your professional degree. I was hurt when I saw that.
You know who immigrated here on that particular category?
Who's that?
Melania Trump.
The exceptional ability category.
That's correct.
Well,
and
what is that?
Is it an E1? I thought it was H1, H2.
No, the H visas are not green cards. They're temporary employment-based visas.
Right.
Got it.
And I believe that Melania Trump had an H visa for her work as a model.
Okay.
But then the green card category that she immigrated through was the exceptional ability. People that are high profile in whatever work they do. So, no,
I think she's exceptional.
Well,
for completely different reasons. I may be biased there.
so the immigrant, the legal immigration
Notice
process.
she blew you right off, Todd. Did you notice that?
I know.
I'm trying to be serious here, guys.
Well, that's no fun.
I
They
know.
gotta listen to us. That's no fun. Sorry. She gave me that look. I got the look.
Oh, I saw that. She gave you the stink eye.
Oh my gosh! Did I get the
Good heavens! If that look had been loaded,
we would have been dead.
We'd need police tape.
Give me that look again,
They
please.
don't call me Dirks for nothing.
Give me the look. I want the look. No, give me the look.
Dirks just shot a dagger at Fred.
Oh my gosh!
man.
If we could use those curse words on here, it would be long and lengthy.
We're at the top of the hour. Are we
Getting
there?
close.
Oh
Getting
my
close.
gosh!
Oh.
And see, I just want to talk more about immigration.
We're going
'cause
to talk
I'm
about it. We
loving
can talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
We're Radio Law Talk. We can talk about aliens. We can talk about Todd Ashbourne.
Wait, still not my stage
Mark
name.
Ashbourne.
Mark Ashbourne.
Mark Ashbourne. Way to let the cat out of the bag there.
Ashbourne. That's exactly what I said.
You know one thing about this whole immigration stuff, we're talking about building walls on the southern border and all this protection and stuff comes in, and when you hear about immigration, you think of somebody hiring a coyote to bring people with this perilous journey, and yet if you are a French-Canadian national visiting Canada, you may find yourself in the United States just going out for a jog. Isn't
That's
that right?
In fact, that happened, and she was detained for 2 weeks. And didn't a deportation order actually come out of that?
I believe from what I've read on that case is, she has an actual deportation order. It's called expedited removal.
And it has a lot of consequences attached to it.
Oh, it has a lot of consequences.
We should talk about that when we come back. What do you think, Fred?
Yeah, why not? We're coming up on our third hour.
GPS, that's all I say.
All right, we're going to come up on our third hour and talk. We're going to have a case or no case, and Mary's going to play along with us. So hang on. Come back to the most exciting radio show on the earth. I'll be right back.
You have been listening to RadioLawTalk.com, a copyrighted presentation of Radio Law Talk Incorporated.